And so I can see the age range in the room, and I can see that we have the entire range. We have the tryout 20s. We have those who are in the turbulent 30s, those who are in the fortified and fabulous 40s. I see those in the flaming 50s, and I see people who are 16 6 times. So I guess the question is, do you recognize the season you're in? And I'll start by sharing my slides, because today's session is about daring to reinvent yourself in 2023. And I hope you can see my slides. Can you? And as I was thinking about each and every one of you, and I was thinking about that time when my father was in hospital and how the humaneness of the doctors who took care of him, who we continue, he's actually getting much better. It's a long drawn kind of illness, but the humaneness and the humanity and the compassion, and dare I say the competence of the doctors who took care of him. We're even friends now. We're on speed dial. Anytime I meet someone who's a close friend of mine who's struggling with a parent or a relative who's either about to have a stroke or something related, I tell them, let's get a second opinion from our doctors. So the role that you have in the medical space makes you very close to life and very close to death. So in a sense, you tend to be a bridge of some kind. But what I have seen, because we have had also medical doctors as part of our clients, is that the ability to reinvent yourself is not so easy, because you're working long hours, you're constantly on call, you're doing all sorts of things just to ensure that you keep human life going. And I want to start by honoring you for that. And the fact that you're doing this before the Easter weekend, also, I hope that this session will give you some credence and some insights that you can actually choose to commit to reinvent yourself in this year. The first person you have to conquer is you. This is because when at last you win over 1 million people, the first person to bring you down could be who? You, me. So discipline yourself, said Israel Moore Aivor. I want to say something that really, really stands out for me this year. Unless you claim extraordinary, ordinary will claim you. Unless you claim extraordinary, ordinary will claim you. But I think the big one in a season and a generation such as this one that we are living in, which are, I would say, historic moments, we are very distracted. Even now, I want to start by asking you if you could give full attention to this session. Because many times we're distracted by the phone, you're distracted by other people, distracted by different apps. I encourage you to reinvent yourself, starve your distractions, feed your focus. What are some of the distractions that you could be distracted with generally in life at the moment? You can actually say in the chat. What are some of the distractions that may be pulling you away from reinventing yourself? We're going to try and make this as interactive as we can. I see we are now 78 headed upwards. And so as you think about what it is that is distracting you, I want to ask you, where are you in your life? Can you see where you are in your life? Where are you? Where are you in your life? This is the circle of life. But we also know that not everyone goes through all these seasons. And so today, as you look at this picture and identify where you are, I want to encourage you to ask yourself, what am I doing with the life that I've been given? Am I just going through the motions as a medical professional, just getting on with life, getting on with it, but not really asking myself, am I truly aligned to the purpose that God has given me? It's not by accident that we're doing this on Holy Thursday. I'm Catholic. And Holy Thursday is a special day because, we celebrate when our Lord washed the feet of the 12 apostles. And he washed the feet even of the one he was going to betray. So for me, it's very special that I'm starting my day with you, because I think in your careers, in your lives, you're constantly washing other people's feet. And I hope that you don't feel that that's derogatory, but that in fact, that work that you do elevates not only yourself, but elevates the people you serve. I think it's very special we're talking today, because by the time Sunday rolls in and the Resurrection Sunday, I hope that some of the insights we'll talk about today will help you reinvent yourself and begin again with a lot of courage. So remember that the comfort zone is the great enemy of courage and confidence. So anytime you're thinking about reinventing yourself, you need to get comfortable with discomfort. So I hope you have your journals next to you. Do you? Let's see, do you have your journals next to you? Anyone can just type in the chat. You have your journals next to you or somewhere to write, because we're going to do something that you need to actually pay attention to with respect to writing it down. I don't know how many of you have done a personal balance sheet. And don't worry, I'm not asking you to tell me your wealth. Yeah? I just want you to focus on your personal balance sheet with respect to your leadership and life habits. So I'm excited that you all are responding. You have your journal next to you. So I want you to open your journals. And those of you who don't have journals, contact us after this. We have incredible journals. And I want you to open 2 pages. And on one side, I want you to have your assets on one side, your assets, okay? So here I'm pulling out an old balance sheet of a client who allowed me to use this. And I want you to write assets on one side and liabilities on the other side. And I want you to take a moment to think about the goals you set this year around your physical goal, your spiritual goal, your mental intellectual goal, your emotional goal, your financial goals. 5 goals. In the RISE Masterclass, which I hope many of you may join us, and I'll talk about it later, we talk about the 5-finger goal setting. Every time I look at my hand, I ask myself, how am I doing on physical? How am I doing on mental, intellectual? How am I doing on social and emotional? How am I doing on spiritual? How am I doing on financial? So are you ready? 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So think about January to March 2023, just the quarter that just ended. And think about your physical goal. What was it? Was it to gain weight, lose weight, sleep a few more hours in a day, manage your stress, eat right? What was it? Because ladies and gentlemen, my experience with people in the medical space is as much as you're taking care of everyone, you're the ones who tend to take least care of yourself. Perhaps because of the schedules, the call to serve humanity, many times you have that selfless attitude. But today I want you to consider putting yourself also in that group that you're taking care of. So physical, let's say you're chosen to exercise, like this person. If you've done it in the first 3 months of this year, put down the things you've done to improve your physical well-being. This person had gym, they weight lifted 3 to 5 times a week, and so that was an asset. If on the other hand, you don't even remember the goal, you've done nothing. Maybe if anything, you've been numbing pain by excessive alcohol consumption. Maybe you're not taking care of your skin. Actually, the skin is the one that shows us how well we are. Then maybe you need to put those liabilities there. Maybe you've been overeating or not eating at all, not sleeping at all. Those are liabilities. Let's think about mental, mindful, mental, intellectual. For example, my goal this year is to read 100 books. My goal is also to do a critical leadership program in one of the Ivy Leagues this year. And so those are my goals. So if it's 100 books, that on average means 2 books a week, right? And by the way, at the end of this session, I'll leave enough time for questions. And why am I reading these books? Because I'm in the business of helping people discover and become their next best selves. I think that journey is a difficult journey for a lot of people. And so I need to armor up the insights and the tools that will help me help many others. So have I read some books? Yes, I've read 16 so far. Looking forward to this weekend so I can catch up on my reading. So I would put there 16 books read. How many podcasts have I listened to this year that will build my mind? I encourage you to listen to mine, but don't only listen to mine. I'm reading to some of the thought leaders globally. I listen to a podcast every 2 days. Put that as a positive. How much am I doing in terms of watching movies, which I love, watching series? Maybe a little too much that is getting in the way. That goes into the liability. Do I have an unhealthy dependence? Do you have an unhealthy dependence on your phone? That's a liability. By the way, one of the things I encourage you to do in this day and age is to deeply understand your family history and heritage. This year, my goal is to help myself, my family, my clients, yourselves, to learn to look at the patterns that are happening in your life. Because when you know the pattern and you know the root cause, just like a medical person, you get to the root cause rather than treating the symptoms. When you look at the patterns of why you lose your temper, why you don't follow through, why you do this, why you exercise, why you eat right, positive or otherwise, then that knowledge of your family history, not only your history, but your family history in terms of habits, in terms of behaviors, yes, in terms of their medical history also. Take time to understand that, because you can interrupt a negative pattern and not pass it on to the next generation. What if you've been busy and anxious, you are taking decisions without thinking through? That would be a liability. The third area, spiritual. What was your spiritual goal for this year? What's your spiritual goal for this year? Have you chosen to get closer to God? Do you want God to influence your decisions directly? Do you want to be more ethical? Do you want to sharpen your conscience? I know some Muslims, I know some who may be here, are in the fasting season. So they're taking their fast, not only from food, but from negative spaces. What about you and I? What is your spiritual goal for this year? So this person chose to do a couple of things. They chose to be more curious about their spirituality, to deepen their knowledge. They chose to find out their purpose, which is a spiritual angle. On the negative, on the liabilities, if your pace of life is too fast that you can't even stop, be silent, reflect, liability. If you have a lack of integrity that you can't even check your question yourself, challenge yourself, allow yourself to be challenged, liability. If you're not practicing disciplines like calming your mind, like deep breathing, like yoga, meditative prayer, liability. So ask yourself, what have I done in the spiritual space? If it's positive, building towards your spiritual goal, it's an asset. If not, liability. Financial. What are your financial goals this year? Do you want to save more? Do you want to make more? Do you want to invest more? If you remember our parents, they earned a fraction of what we earn, but they did so much more with it. So what about you? What is your goal with respect to financial? This person, in terms of assets, has a strong financial background and enough wealth to start their own company or to invest. They had laser focus and committed to gaining financial wealth and wisdom. On the liability side, lack of diversification. I'm sure you know, especially as Africans, we're always looking for plots. Men, I'm speaking to you. And sometimes you're asset rich and cash poor. Let me tell you a little story there about a sad story, I must say. So a friend of mine, her dad fell sick. And while he was in hospital, they knew that he was very wealthy. He had bought a lot of properties. And unfortunately, he hadn't organized himself to the point that his wife knew where the land was. His wife didn't even have access to his bank account. Even something as basic, for those of you who are married, even your M-Pesa PIN. Why is it that you wouldn't share it with your spouse? Yeah, maybe to check. Maybe you don't trust them about something. Maybe their financial personality is reckless. Okay, whatever the case, make sure that you have a plan, especially from a will perspective. And financial, having a will is actually a critical tool to help you manage your finances. And so you can imagine he gets into hospital, slips into a coma, and we are fundraising. When we know that this gentleman had so many assets, but he was asset rich, cash poor, and worse still, even the cash that was there, we couldn't access it. Let that not be you and I. I think you are in a privileged position to see what happens when people are in a crisis. Let's learn from that and ask ourselves, what can I do this year to actually raise my financial well-being? Lastly, emotional. Good at building quick, but ultimately shallow relationships. Yeah? Maybe you have a strong emotional intelligence. Maybe you have the courage to correct others, courage to lift them up, courage to even look and critique yourself. On the negative side, the liability, maybe you're a people pleaser. Yes, man or yes, woman. You're leading with fear. You're afraid of being vulnerable and you're afraid of expressing your feelings. But one that I find very interesting is lack of follow through. If you start projects and don't follow through on them, it's not so much a physical, mental, spiritual, or financial thing. It's an emotional goal that is letting you down. Ladies and gentlemen, can you do your personal balance sheet? Cast your totals. How many points did you put here? How many points did you put here? And what are you getting at the bottom? Are you getting a plus or a minus? Let me hear from you. Are you getting a plus or a minus? Are you personally bankrupt or are you personally wealthy? Take a moment to chat Take a moment to put in the chat. What is the lesson? You don't have to tell us the numbers. Just tell us, what is the lesson you're learning from here? What is the lesson you're learning from here? So ideally, you have your assets, you have your liabilities, and then you have your personal balance score. What is the lesson you're learning from here? I'm happy to see an insight on the chat. If you're able to unmute, I don't know whether you're allowed to do so in this particular webinar, to share what have you learned from looking at your personal balance sheet. Any insights? I want to start by saying that my goal is not to depress you early in the morning, all 100 of you. Huh? My goal is to enlighten, to be a truth teller and a hope giver. Truth teller and hope giver. What are some comments that you'd like to share on your personal balance sheet? Are you adding up? So if you're still using a calculator, well done. That means you're doing many things to actually grow your personal balance score. But I'd love to hear from you. Anyone would like to share? What have you learned? You don't have to tell us what you got, but tell us what you learned. I welcome your comments. Excited to see 100 of us. What's your personal balance score? Is it a positive or a negative? Just put in the chat, plus or minus, plus or minus. And any lesson that you're learning from this. Thank goodness, it's only Q1. We're not doing this in December. And you're thinking, if only I knew this earlier in the year. Ladies and gentlemen, what are your insights? See, the beauty of speaking to medics is already, I know you are high IQ people, right? So I can only imagine the kind of insights you're going to share with me. Anyone there? Let me stop sharing so that now I can see who's here. Anyone would like to share with us? What's the lesson you're learning from a personal balance sheet? So people are telling me what they scored. You just put a minus or a plus. Thank you so much, Igle Nyakoa, for starting us off. Those who answer first have a lot of courage. Thank you for being vulnerable. I'm waiting to hear. What are the lessons you're learning? What did you score? What's the lesson? Jacinta, learning to reassess my life. Otieno John Ochieng, negative. Dr. Ajabo, I can say we all need shorter accountability intervals. Yes, I agree with you to keep up with your targets. Anyone else? Anyone else? What is your insight from this first segment of our time together? Lauren Kigoma, negative. Gloria, negative. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being vulnerable. What is the lesson you're learning? What is the area you need to focus on? Because it's one thing to do the personal balance sheet, but it's an entirely different thing to decide what you're going to do after you come out from this balance sheet. So I appreciate the comments that are coming through. And I ask you, which is the area you're going to choose to reinvent? Because all of us have all the 5 areas and the leadership education we do is to help you decide what's your anchor goal. What is the area that you now need to focus on? I want to tell you a little story about one of the people who did our Rise Masterclass. And she has inspired me in multiple ways, because she told me once we did the deeper analysis in the program, she realized that your personal balance sheet has a direct correlation with your personal bank account. So remember that financial in our model is the last finger. And it's the last finger deliberately, because your finances are influenced by everything you do with the other 4 fingers: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So if I'm always saying I'm broke, I'm always saying I'm this, that, the other, maybe I need to look at my personal balance sheet first before I say anything else. Can you hear me? Can you hear me clearly, ladies and gentlemen? You can hear me clearly? Can you hear me clearly? You can. Great. And so I now want to ask you to ask yourself, how can you lead yourself? How can you lead yourself? Yeah. And First, lead yourself before you lead anyone else. I know that's a bit of a contradiction, but when is the last time you had a full medical review? You who are in the medical space. When is the last time you hired a coach to help you grow? When is the last time you chose to follow through on a specific program to help you grow as a human being and as a professional? I challenge you that let 2023 be a different year. After all, they tell us, if you do things the same way and expect different results, we are insane, right? So if you want to become a butterfly and to reinvent yourself, do as the caterpillar and learn your crawling skills to learn your new flying skills. So what do you need to unlearn? And this is where we're going to spend a couple of minutes thinking about the 3-2-1. I want you to take time to write down in your journal 3 things you're truly grateful for 2023 so far. 3 things. 3 things. 3 things you're really grateful for 2023. Write them down. 3 things. Are we there? Write them down. You can write them in your journal. If you want, you can also share them. Excuse me. You can also share them on the chat. 3 things you're really grateful for. But in fact, those ones you can write in your journal. Have you written the 3 things you're really grateful for? Then looking at your personal balance sheet, which are the 2 things you must stop doing? What are some habits you must unlearn this year? You must unlearn. Because your personal balance sheet has to move from being bankrupt to being wealthy. And not rich, wealthy. What are 2 things you must unlearn this year? This I'd like to hear from the chat. What are 2 things you're choosing to unlearn this year? Unlearning means I must stop doing this. Looking at my personal balance sheet, looking at what it is that I want to do, who I want to become, I must unlearn this. Let's hear from you. Procrastination. I'll tell you a little bit more about that. You know, when you share, then I can help you move forward. Procrastination. Anything else? Anything else? What are you going to unlearn this year? Ladies and gentlemen, what are you going to unlearn? Stop focusing on the negative. That is called critical spirit. Jacinta Modi. Thank you. So far, Gina Kemeo has told us procrastination. Jacinta has shared stop focusing on the negative. Anything else? Let's go, let's go, let's go. I want to hear more from you so that I can help you. Fear of failure. Great one, Dorothy. Overspending, Otieno. Great. Vicky, impulse buying. Olivia, too much time on social media, not following through with the tasks. Duncan, financial planning, being asset rich, cash poor. Michelle Venya, skipping family time. Gloria Buari, lending too much. We are 100 of us. At least let's see 50 answers. So far I can see the top 2%, they're the ones who answer first. Join them, join them. Laureen, fear. What else? What else must you unlearn this year? Must you unlearn this year? When you look at your personal balance sheet, excessive screen time, I am with you on that. All these things, I have been there. So I'm going to share with you a couple of insights. What will people say? That is called people pleasing. What else? What else? What will people say? Anything else? Okay. So I'm going to quote from my first book, Rise, and give you a taster of some of the things we choose to do at Rise School. Because these areas that you're struggling with, anxiety and fear, all these things, failing to start projects I should have started. All these things, 1, I have faced them. 2, it's things that a lot of high impact professionals struggle with. So you're good at work, but your personal space may be struggling. Or you could be better also at work and also your personal space. So let me talk a little bit about some of the areas. Procrastination. So in the Rise School, we focus it on the book Rise. And we have 10 reasons why people don't become their next best selves. And I know my team will also share how to get onto the Rise Masterclass. But let me give you that gift of sharing with you some insight. Procrastination. Procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God owes you another chance to do tomorrow what he gave you the chance to do today. Bishop Rosie O'Neill. Brad Taylor also says that procrastination is the grave in which opportunity is buried. So I want you to remember the way to combat procrastination is get to the root cause of what is causing you not to do it, and then just start. And start with baby steps. Start small and then keep at it. In the program, one of the things we'll do is we'll analyze what kind of procrastinator are you? Maybe you're the kind that I used to be, where I would say, my best inspiration comes in the last minute. So I procrastinate until the 11th hour because I'm like, my best work comes then. But then I realized you cannot operate on adrenaline. Adrenaline, you know better than I, is not supposed to be a daily occurrence. You're not supposed to be using adrenaline every day because over time, that cortisol and that adrenaline does not serve us well. It's supposed to protect us. And so I realized that not only was I damaging myself, but I was also not being fair to my family, to my team, when I do things in the 11th hour, which they've been waiting for, even if there's genius in the production of that work. What kind of procrastinator are you? The other thing that has come up over here is people pleasing, which is very connected to the idea of what will people say. I want to encourage you, as Mother Teresa said, at the end of it all, it's between you and God. For as long as your conscience is clear and you're making the effort to become the best version you can become, choose to keep at it. I know that many of us were brought up being told, what will people say? What will people say? But I want to encourage you, especially the good things you want to do, the courageous conversations, the hard things that you need to do. I encourage you, choose to follow through with your clean conscience. Excessive screen time, I'll give you a 3-2-1 also. 3 hours before you sleep, eat your last meal. 2 hours before you sleep, take your last drink and hopefully something calming. 1 hour before you sleep, no more screen time. Get a book, read something. If you can try that 3-2-1, you'll see the whole agenda change of how you lead yourself. And so as we're thinking about these areas, let me give you a couple more insights on how you can actually grow. Remember that we are doing what? We are learning to first lead yourself by reinventing yourself. And so I want to share with you a couple of skills that you need to ask yourself. The World Economic Forum shared a couple of years ago that by 2025, all employees will need reskilling. So yes, you're in the medical space, but what is another skill that you're developing? These are the top 15 skills of 2025. Analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, which you're already pretty good at, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality, and initiative, the ability to think ahead of the issues that you're solving, leadership and social influence. How many of you are on LinkedIn? What do you post on LinkedIn? Why are you on LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a space of leadership and professional social influence. You can learn a lot. You can celebrate other people. You can share. For example, I encourage you to share one insight that you gained from today's session. Share it on LinkedIn and share what it is that you're going to do about it. Tag us, tag some of your classmates, the people who are within this particular Zoom session. Technology use it to actually grow, not to deplete yourself. Technology design and programming. I know that we're now in the spaces of telemedicine. How can you use technology and medicine to access and serve more people from the comfort of wherever you are? What about resilience, stress tolerance and flexibility, emotional intelligence, negotiation? So many insights for you to ask yourself. Of the top 15 skills of 2025, which is the skill you need to start to work on? I encourage you, ask yourself, what is that skill you need to work on? And take the time to do so by choosing to invest in what it is that truly makes a difference. I want to encourage you, I'd like to ask those who have unmuted, please mute so that we can continue. Please mute. Nefo Dongaro, if you could please mute. Thank you very much. So I know sometimes you get onto a Zoom call and you don't even realize you're unmuted. So please, the host, please help me manage that. So think about which are the skills that will help you reinvent yourself and help you focus on the area that you need to focus on with your personal balance sheet. I want you to remember that none of us is as smart as all of us. Your ability to reinvent yourself cannot be done on your own. I have had to reinvent myself. I started my career as an auditor. Then I went into consulting. Then I went into finance and strategy. And now I'm a leadership developer and I'm an edutechpreneur. Now, those are so many radical shifts. If I didn't have a tribe of mentors, if I didn't take my mentor, one mentor told me something and I'm eternally grateful to her. She told me, Patricia, every year you must invest, put aside some money for your personal growth and for your professional growth. If your employer invests in you, that is an added benefit. But right now, remember that your growth is all about your business. When you grow, it is your business. So this idea that, oh, let me replace the car is not an asset. Maybe it's better to take a loan and invest in a leadership program, on a program that's going to help you develop any of those 15 skills. And I took that advice from about 10 years ago, and I have never looked back. So every year I do a program. I actually do 3 types. I do a personal program just to do with how can I be a better human being. Then we do a marriage and family program with my husband. We've been married for almost 20 years, and it's taken a lot of deep work. And so the other day, one of my younger friends and colleagues were telling me, you've been married 19 years to the same person. And I was like, okay, what kind of question is that? Yeah, but I know that a lot of marriages are under siege. And so the fact that you look at your relationships as an area that you can build a skill around, don't only think skills are for your professional work, they're also for relationship building and for your personal space. And then the third thing I do is a program every year on my professional sphere of influence. What about you? What have you been doing the last couple of years? Do you just do the programs that earn you CPD points? Or do you go a bit way out of that and choose to do something that will take you ahead of the curve? By 2022, everyone will need an extra 101 days of learning. Can you imagine that? That was last year. How many days of learning did you invest? And of course, they're talking about people and culture, product development, data, cloud computing, some of the skills that will actually help us navigate the future of work. But today I want us to think about the goal that you've set for yourself. I want you to write down one goal, just one goal in one of those 5 areas that you're choosing to reinvent yourself in 2023. Many of us have goals in our minds, goals in our hearts. But today, I want you to leave that goal, remove it from your mind and heart, and put it down on paper and make it smart. That by the end of 2023, I want to be more emotionally intelligent. By the end of 2023, I want to take the bold step to learn a new skill that will help my profession. By the end of 2023, I want to have learned how to forgive myself and to forgive those who I continue to carry a very deep grudge against. By the end of 2023, I want my personal brand to be serving this kind of cause, this kind of problem. By the end of 2023, what's your goal? Please write it down. And so as you think about your goal, I know these images might present some emotions, but I want you to ask yourself, excuse me, I want you to ask yourself, what do you see here? Someone in the chat, tell me, what do you see? What do you see? Apart from the person, what do you see? What do you see is going on in this particular picture? What do you see? I see someone training. I see a superstar training as if he's a beginner. Yeah? And so the lesson I want you to take away from this, it doesn't matter how intelligent you are, you and I, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter how many awards you've won. It doesn't matter how great your work is. I want you to safeguard yourself from something called intellectual arrogance. Intellectual arrogance. And intellectual arrogance only comes up with people who are great at what they do. I want you to shift and unlearn intellectual arrogance and ask yourself, how am I training? Sorry. How am I training for the game of life? One of my reverse mentors, who's 16, wakes up very early and is in school by 5:45, right? When she gets to school, one of the things I asked her is, why do you want to be in school so early and class starts at 7? She said, because I'm training. There's a difference between training and working out. Training, because she's a basketball player, she's going there to train with a goal. Remember the goal? If you're working out, you're just doing something just to do something. But if you have a training mindset, it changes everything. It means you get to that space with a beginner's mindset, ready to learn anything from anyone, in addition as from your coach. What do you see there? What do you see there? What do you see here? Ladies and gentlemen, what do you see? I said, just stay with me. I know this could bring different emotions based on who you are supporting. You see victory, you see winning, you see celebration. I want you to ask yourself, at the end of 2023, what does this cup represent for you? What is the goal that you want? What is that greatest of all time? Can you choose to be the greatest version of yourself of all time? Choose to be a GOAT with respect to who you've been in the past. And then ask yourself, who is going to be walking the journey with you? Who's on your personal board of directors? Something we go deeply into in the RISE Masterclass. Who are the people who you've given meddling rights to challenge you, to ask you the hard questions, to tell you, hapo unateleza. Mister, you need to wake up. Stop being so arrogant. Madam, don't let that growth get into your head. Who are those 2, 3, 4, 5 people who you have given the rights and the license to guide you and to challenge you? Who are those around you? And so I want to encourage you that as a group, all of you are a sort of a group, but you can choose to be a team. And the only way you can be a team is to choose to row in a way that helps all of you move forward. But I want to encourage you that the most important thing is to be a bridge, not a ditch. Be a bridge, not a ditch. We are in Africa, so we know what ditches look like. But I want us to think about bridges that are incredible. Look at this bridge here. This bridge is actually a hand. So remember your 5-finger goals. But in addition to it being a hand, it's designed to actually give comfort to those people who are crossing that bridge, to remember that it is supporting them and it will not drop them as they cut across that particular valley. What kind of bridge are you? Are you the kind of bridge that sheds light on others? Or are you the kind that dims their light? Let me share with you as we get to the tail end of our time together, how to take that goal, commit to that goal, and choose to be a bridge and not a ditch. First, be brave. That's me. That's me on the 31st of December. I'm afraid of heights. I don't even know how I got here in Garendare Forest. We were told we're just crossing just to the other side. Little did I know it was half a kilometer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, I was so petrified. I was sweating. I was so distressed. But then I asked myself, if I'm going to be the one helping my family choose to be courageous and brave, this thing is relatively safe. So let me just overcome my fears. Where do you, each and every one of you, 104 leaders on this call, which is a space you need to be brave in? Choose to be brave. And one of the things that I was so excited about when I got to the other end, I was telling my hubby, you conned me, you kept telling me it's just round the corner, round the corner, round the corner. But I looked at some of the children we'd gone with, and one of them is autistic. And he crossed that bridge with confidence. I was telling myself, surely I can learn so much from the people around you. Be brave. R, ritualize your work habits. Look at these habits. Look at this bridge. It's made up of little lines that were done very creatively by the engineer. Now that's the kind of height that I don't know whether I would manage. But I want you to think about rituals. What are the rituals that make you, that when you do some work, do you sign it with a signature of excellence? Can I tell that if I see your patients, that's Diana, that's Kithinji, that's Scholastica's work, without seeing you, because there's a way in which you've ritualized the way you work? Can I tell that? R, ritualize your work habits. I, interrogate your biases. Maybe there are many engineers who are told they have to build an ergonomic and a very beautiful bridge. And they said, no, 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 we can't do a bridge that looks like it's 3D, 4D, 5D, going into water, climbing up with lights. Maybe many of them couldn't do this, but there's one who said, we can do it. Where are you biased? Interrogate your biases. Are there certain things that you keep telling yourself, I can't do, I can't do, I can't do? Interrogate your biases and deal with them. D, decide and do. Look at this bridge. Probably they were told you have to design a bridge that doesn't affect the flora, fauna, and the forest. And so this engineer must have thought way beyond the box, decided and done it. What about you? What are the things that are blocking you that you keep saying, I'll do, I'll do, I'll do? Decide and do starting today. Grow. Just look at that bridge and what it has done to that whole demographic, that whole geography. It has shed light on it. When you grow, you shed light on others. And so which are the areas you need to focus and grow on? Evaluate daily and elevate others. Every day I want to encourage you, take 15 minutes every day, maybe 15 in the morning, maybe 15 in the evening, and take a reflection around, what did I do well? What didn't I do well? How can I do better tomorrow? That ability to evaluate who you are and how you're showing up will change who you become by the end of a month and the end of a year. So be a bridge, not a ditch. B, be brave. R, ritualize. I, interrogate. D, decide and do. G, grow. And E, evaluate daily. I want to remind you that you can be a game changer. Even just by virtue of being in the medical space, you're already ahead of the curve. But I find that a lot of people in the medical space sometimes don't realize that you can be the creator of your own destiny. You can choose to reinvent yourself. You can choose to solve a new and imagined problem. I want to encourage you. How can you commit and what can you commit to do next? I want to encourage you, invest in yourself. Look for mentors. Join seminars like you've done today. This was a very short 75-minute seminar, webinar. But I encourage you, if you're going to truly reinvent yourself, you have to invest in what you take in every day. Join groups like our Africa Risers Network. I'll tell you a little bit about that shortly. Read books. Choose to read books. In our Africa Risers Network, we're reading a book a month. And it's incredible when you read with other people, you gain momentum. Take online programs like our Rise Masterclass. Ask mentors. Choose to have a tribe of mentors. Some mentors you will never meet. I have mentors I will never meet. I probably will never meet, but I follow their work. I read their work. I listen to their podcasts. I watch their YouTube channels. I enroll into their programs, and I can see the impact they have had on the way I think and the way I do the things I do. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot be the ones who say, me, I was born like that, so I'll die like that. That cannot be us. Try, and actually raise yourself. Another thing I want to encourage you to do is to rise as you lift others. That's me wishing you the very best, to rise way above what you think and who you think you are. And the only way you can rise is to rise as you lift others. I want to encourage you. You can't be the kind of person who's rising as we push others down. You can see that image. Raise them, push them up. Who are the people around you that are waiting for you to just breathe light on them by your intellect, your insights, your encouragement, your critique, your mentorship? It cannot be that you will die with all the knowledge you have. No, that cannot be you and it cannot be me. As a matter of fact, very many people tell me, so why do you do these talks? You're doing these talks for free. You're even letting them have your slides. You don't think that they're going to kill your business? I say, as a matter of fact, it's the opposite. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. And anyway, even if they don't invest in my business, I have done something to help someone see a new light. What's the point of all this knowledge, insights, if I'm just going to stay with it? It is of no purpose if I don't serve someone. Rise as you lift others, ladies and gentlemen. Many of you are already asking, what else? How can we get into, move forward? Early Riser is a program that's designed for those in the 20s to all the age of 35, and it's focused on helping you identify your blind spots. I personally believe that the 20s are a very defining decade. But a lot of 20-year-olds have been cheated that they have time, that they can take it easy, that they can choose to do things that are very casual. Yesterday, I was speaking to some young people at Nairobi Garage, and I was telling them, because the demographic, many of them were in the 20s, I was telling them the 20s is where you make very big decisions without realizing. The 20s is where you decide the kind of person you're going to marry based on the kind of person you're dating. So if you're dating someone who you would not marry, stop it. Stop dating in the dark. Stop it. Huh? And they were like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm like, yeah, I know, because I have seen it. And I've seen those people who chose to cohabit, they slid into marriage. And unfortunately, if you go into a cohabitation, for example, and no judgments here, in your 20s or in your 30s, sometimes, and research is showing us that those particular relationships, you have to work so hard to make sure you elevate them into a marriage. In your 20s is where you make career decisions. It's where you actually try out, and we call it the tryout 20s. So youth, age 21 to 35, Early Risers is the leadership program for you. It's just 4 weeks. We've priced it at $200. It's virtual, and you have the benefit of me coaching you on how to overcome failure, how to learn how to wait, how to learn how to work with excellence, and how to raise yourself for a higher purpose. Early risers. Are you one of us? Become an early riser. I encourage you also to join the Rise Masterclass. It's the one I've talked a lot about during today's leadership session. And this came out of the first book, Rise. And what happened is people read the book, they loved it, and they said, Patricia, you have to teach us how to do this. And so the Rise Masterclass has 4 elements. It's a 12-week program. It has level 1, strengthen your will. Level 2, harness your weight. Level 3, raise your work ethic. Level 4, spirit of excellence. And so how do you actually raise yourself? And then we have the Africa Risers Network. This is the one that I said, be the kind of person who takes leadership vitamins daily. So we decided we're going to open it up to everyone at 2,500 shillings per annum. We came from our network, which were people who are being charged 20,000, and we said we want to democratize leadership learning. And this is a network on Telegram, and I share leadership insights and wisdom every day, every day. And today, for example, Friday is dedicated to the men. Wednesday, dedicated to ladies. So we share insights, stories, inspiration, even leadership goals that can help you develop and stay ahead of your curve. If you're looking to stay ahead of your curve, this is the network to join. Lastly, let other people lead small lives, but not you. Let others argue over small things, but not you. Let others cry over small hearts, but not you. Let others leave their future in someone else's hands, but not you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure sharing my insights with you. I now open it up to questions, comments, compliments, clarifications, so that I can help you rise beyond your comfort zone, rise beyond your past, and help you challenge yourself to become your next best self. Thank you very much. Welcome to any comments, questions, clarifications. I'd like to hear, what have you taken out? How are you feeling after this? Share in the chat. If we can get 99 comments, that would be incredible. How are you feeling? What is it that you're taking away from today's session? Don't just leave motivated. What's your decision? But thank you, Rosemary, for feeling motivated. What is it that you're choosing to do differently? How can we help you move forward? Tell us how you're feeling. I'm looking forward to your comments on the chat. If the meeting host can allow people to unmute and ask any question or make a comment. I know we have 10 minutes remaining, and I welcome your comments. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jacinta. I see your comments. Rosemary, Angela Mayo. Anyone would like to unmute and share a question, ask a question, disagree with me? I'm open, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. In fact, the more constructive conversations we have, the better. Anyone? Decide and do. What are you taking away today? What are you taking away today? Oh, thank you very much, Robert. My brother is called Robert, so you've one word, brilliant. Thank you very much. I feel charged to try out a 3-2-1. 3-2-1. 3 things you're grateful for, 2 things you're going to unlearn, 1 goal you're going to start with. 3-2-1. Great insights. Start the gym. Great, Scholastica. What are you going to do to become a better human being, to become your next best self? I welcome any comments. I hand it back to our host. If you'd like to now take over and facilitate the final piece, I welcome you to do so. Yes, that is true. In medicine, you actually have blinders and tend to just move forward in a straight line. By the way, the careers, if you have an access to some of our programs, one of the things we'll talk about is the career is no longer a ladder. It's a career jungle. So Angela is asking about details to access the books. I know my colleague Sofina will repost that. She's posted some details further up, but we can post again. So it's no longer climbing a ladder. It's taking different angles. Can you imagine how many times I've reinvented myself? Maybe 8, and I'm not yet even 50. Yeah? How about you? You have the bandwidth to reinvent yourself because it's easier to reinvent yourself now than in the past. I welcome any comments, questions, and clarifications. Okay, I'll now hand it back to Diana, or the host. Thank you very much for having me. I now take it back to you.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Dr. Patricia Murugami, for that very insightful session. I am sure my colleagues will agree that this was quite an eye-opener, and thank God it came quite early in the year. So at least we have time to work on those 2023 resolutions. Yes, and one thing I'm very excited about this session is that there's even homework, okay? Yeah, we have books, we have links, we have the sessions. Yeah, we have the Early Risers program that I would like to encourage my colleagues to dig in. I think I'll also share my contact. You can probably get those links and post them also to the WhatsApp group. That will be more easy to access as opposed to the chat once the meeting is over. Yes, so thank you very much for your time. We are very much grateful. I don't know if Dr. Ondieki would like to add something. She is our patron.
Yes, it's wonderful to see you. Thank you, Gina Kimel, and thank you, Diana Ondieki, Dr. Ondieki, for hosting me. I now welcome you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Patricia. I've always known that you're a great speaker. There's always that, I'm one of the people who follow you in the background, so you didn't know about it until we reached out to you. So, and we are very grateful that you were able to give us your time and come and speak to us. And I'm glad that people have seen what we saw and have seen the amount of content and how they stand to benefit from this all. And every time I listen to you, I learn something new. Like, for example, today I need to get whatever ideas I have from my head and put it on paper, because while it's still in my head, it's still a wish, it's still a dream. So I really, truly have to actualize it. And whatever I choose to do, I should do it with excellence. And as I do it, I should lift other people. You see, so I already have a mantra that I can take with myself throughout this day. So we are actually very grateful. And then also I would like to take this opportunity to share something that I came across. Patricia will be speaking at Engage on the 22nd of April. So this is a platform where people, it has a lot of storytelling and music. It's actually a very nice way to spend your Saturday evening. And you actually get a chance to listen to very inspiring speeches. So as you can see, the lineup for the 22nd, there is Warimi Karingi, Amani Maranga, Patricia will be there, Cheryl and Dr. Kingori. So I actually welcome anybody who's able to get a chance to participate at Engage. You're actually welcome. It's only about 2,000 or 2,500 shillings, and it's actually very much worth your time. So thank you very much, Patricia. People are asking for the books, for the links. I'm sure some people will reach out to participate in the classes. So we are looking to grow. We are looking to become better, to become our next best selves. So we are very grateful, and thank you very much. So I'll give it to you, Ngina, to finish.
Thank you, Dr. Diana.
I have seen a message from Joanne. I'll be reaching out to you shortly for the WhatsApp links that I'll share with the rest of my colleagues. And ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the Wellness Forum for April. Thank you very much to everybody, all the team players who made this possible, and to our speaker today. Thank you for the time. And so see you in the same place next time, next month, first Friday of next month. So please have a good day. Yes, and thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great weekend and a good Easter.